Hi there kit fans, it's Louise with you today sharing a new scrapbook layout for Kitaholic Kits for the January 2022 kits. Now I am featuring the distress crayons this month. So what I wanted to do was try and showcase a few different ways that you could use these in backgrounds. Now this particular page that I'm creating has a fun technique where you take a bunch of randomly cut sized pattern papers and build a cluster behind your background, behind your photo, sorry. So what I'm doing is just randomly cutting these pattern pieces of paper, and you can see I've got all kinds of different patterns. I'm going to go around the edge and I'm going to distress all of them. Now you don't have to do this. You could distress some, you could ink some, you could leave some plain. For this particular page, I wanted all of them distressed. So just to give that little bit of texture. Now you'll also need some cardboard because we're going to start to split up some of our background layers with cardboard. And as you can see, as I go through, I'm just tearing off the ones that are going to sit under the photo, and I'm going to use my stapler just to hold them in place as I start to build my layers. So it's not a, it's not a tricky technique, but it sort of just is working on it until you're happy with the way it looks. As I start to go through this, you can see I've popped a little doily in there, and then I'm going to start to stick things down. So you want to sort of make a couple of layers and then add a little bit of the card and then build a few more layers so you get a bit of dimension between them. Now another really great way to add some dimension to this type of photo background is to also include either some cotton or some twine or even some cheesecloth. That will actually help you to get some definition between your layers. As you can see, some people will like this in a more structured way, so they'll actually want it to, be equal and balanced on both sides. For me, I'm quite happy just to make it look quite random and have those paper layers sort of poking out from beneath my photo. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to start to work on a background. Now, I'm going to embellish a little bit first, just so I've got a bit of an idea of what I actually want this page to look like. So, adding embellishments now is not something I would normally do. I would normally have everything prepared and then do the embellishing last. But because I've built that photo cluster, I know that I'm going to embellish around it, so I can do that now. And then when I create my background, I only have to create a background in the area that I actually want the background to be shown. So it's not, as you can see with my pencil here, I'm going to draw a little bit of a background template so that I know where my photo is going to go and my cluster, and then I'm going to build the background around that. So this little technique is using the distress crayons. Now the first color that I'm using is the salvaged patina, and what I do is you only get a certain amount of time to work with the distress crayon before it actually can't be moved or spread. So it gives you, I don't know, go and watch some Tim Holtz videos if you want to know the proper techniques, but all I know is that if you put it on just plain background paper like I am here, you only have a certain amount of time that you can spread it around. So I'm just using my finger and smudging it. If you want longer time to have a play with things, then you need to put some gesso on the background. That'll give you longer before it actually soaks into the paper. Now that I have a bit of a background, I'm going to double up the distress crayon techniques in this video, and I'm going to use a stencil and a foam pad and the same color over the top just to add more dimension. So you can see that I've got that sort of smudged darkness of that salvage patina, and then I've gone over it with the stencil and the foam pad. And again, a third technique using the distress crayon is to add some water onto the craft mat there, use a little brush and splatters around there. Now, as I'm putting this down on my desk, I'm sort of looking at the background color, and I really don't like the way this looks with the cluster that I've created. It's just far too bright. So in my cluster, I've got a lovely combination of sort of those more autumny feels, like the pinks and browns and those lighter colors. And then I've used this really bright turquoise in my background. So I put this aside and think about it for a little while and then decide that I'm going to remake my background. So I'm going to use the exact same technique, but I'm going to use it with different colored distress crayons from my stash. So I'm not going to show you the whole technique again, but I am going to change that background. And you can look forward in a new video coming. I'm going to reuse that background that I've already made, and I've got a few more distress techniques that I'm going to add on there as well. So now that I'm more happy with that background, I like how this is looking now. I'm pleased with that color scheme that I've got going on. It still needed just a little bit more texture. So I take some twine from my stash and I'm using my hot glue gun, which makes a bit of a mess, but because this twine is quite thick, it needs the hot glue gun to actually get it to set and hold in place. Tacky glue just doesn't have enough hold to actually get it affixed where I want it to go. So I'm going to use the hot glue. I'm going to add the twine. You can also see that I have put a couple of little stickers, some butterflies, some little sparkles around into the background as well. But effectively, I am much happier with this layout now that I've got a different coloured background and added that bit of twine as well. So that is this page completed. I hope that you enjoyed those techniques. There was a lot in there, and if you've got the distress crayons, I hope that you're excited and are having a little bit of a play around with them, because they really are so much fun. One of my favourite mediums, so I was really excited when they came with this month's kit. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that little subscribe button, and I will bring you a new video soon. Thank you guys. Bye.